There's one that's like this.
Oh, really? What's that? Yeah, well, I get up and move around and do things.
I had one of those when they were investigating.
Yeah. Yep. See people take those and they put like a walking path underneath it.
Oh.
A mini treadmill.
Yeah.
Just walk all day.
I'll go one way to get your steps in.
That would, yeah.
Kelly says that might be pushing it a little too much.
What?
Kelly says that might be pushing it a little much.
I'm afraid that
Oh,
I get tired and start falling and grab the laptop and everything and hit the floor and end up explaining that.
Connie would get ready for that.
I know, right? You hear the crash and go, what happened? Good.
Glad to see you survived first 2 days of practice.
I did, I haven't hurt myself yet. So. I
Well, you're
know.
all strong now after you're back to the summer.
Yeah, we're all cleared. I'm just a lot smarter when the big guys want to roll around.
Yeah, there we go.
But we got big numbers, so.
435.
Well, I mean, we're missing, I think, once the Matt didn't get here, we had 2 that signed up that didn't come. One wasn't sure, and the other one I kind of didn't think would happen. So we'll be at 33 for the boys, but I think the girls gained a couple more that they weren't expecting. So I haven't got numbers from Lamada as of right now, but next week when everything settles down, I'll have a parent meeting Tuesday. That'll be pretty. If they survive this first week, they're usually pretty good.
Do you want me to attend the parent meeting like last year?
Yeah, if you want. So that'll be Tuesday, 6:15 right after practice. I'll send you an email for a reminder.
Oh, thank you.
All of a sudden she's like, oh, guys. Her eyes got, it's all pink. I'm like, you 100% pink. There's nothing. She decided to do something for option right away. Then she was rubbing it. Actually, I keep rubbing it. And then like a day and a half later, she's like, oh, no, I think I'm getting the other one. Like, I don't know. So yeah, I went through the other one. Yeah, she's been sleeping in the guest room. Well, yeah, I'm like, I'm usually snuggle her about, but stay away from me. Oh, yeah, and now what, I haven't had much Remember, you wake up in the morning, your eyes are closed. I mean, she talked to me. She'll be here soon. I can call her.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
Yep, it's 7.
Yeah, it's 7.
You guys can help them.
Okay, we'd like to thank you all for coming. Would you please all rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and before we start, I think it would be appropriate if Jane, if you introduce your new assistant, good to see you here. Why don't you introduce her to us?
Yeah, so this is Teresa. She's been with us for a little bit now. She's amazing. She's already working on stuff on her own. We have a really great relationship. She's got a good relationship with the other people around the office, and she's doing good things. So I'm happy to have her. I mean, she's been great. She's been life-saving a few times, so she's really good.
Okay, welcome to the
Welcome aboard, Teresa.
Okay, all right, so then the next thing we'll do is approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second to approve the agenda? Okay. The discussion? Oh, oh, we all got, you have additions to the agenda?
Special board meeting, I have to on it.
What's that doing?
They're not on the agenda.
Oh. We can't put them on consent, then, so we're gonna have to put them underneath, under, we'll discuss the special board meeting minutes after we do consent, okay? This is not something we're voting on now. Okay?
And also, I guess I have a question, about, public comment. Is there gonna be discussion allowed?
Normally there's not. Discussion allowed from the board.
Yeah.
Well, it's on a topic that's in the meeting.
Yeah.
Therefore, the discussion later.
Yeah. So if you look down the building committee,
Still can't, should you speak down?
no, he speaks up there, because to be on the, if I'm understanding this right, would it be legendary, public comment is to speak first on an agenda, then he speaks, and then down on the agenda, we can address that. We can address what he's talking about, we can address that issue. Otherwise, that's the way I understand that, on that. Am I correct on that? I see my agenda for person, am I correct on that?
What's that? I guess I'm not
No,
following.
the lady was.
Oh,
On the computer.
oh. It's right at my line of
I don't have this
sight.
down.
You're innocent.
He was like,
What am I doing?
Sorry, Sue. They're gonna have some public comments on a issue on the agenda, and then the board will be able to discuss it when it comes up on the agenda later on. That's what we confirmed.
I would agree from my perspective as a coach, would agree with that. And anybody who is a member of the public that wants to speak on an agenda item that you're voting on, it's always recommended to hear from them before you vote on it. But you don't have to vote on it immediately after you hear from the community member. You just want to make sure you hear from the community member before you vote on it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so what she's saying is more appropriate for her to speak down below then?
Yes.
So Jim, we're gonna move you down below, under where it says, building committee discussion, we're gonna have you discuss then, okay?
Sure.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, now, we'll go back to,
If I may clarify, whether you can still have it at the beginning of your meeting where you're posted for public comment,
I'm just gonna let him go first, and then we'll speak on board. Is that okay with everybody?
It's your decision on where that
Yeah,
goes.
everybody okay with that? So what I'm gonna do is, when we get down to Spencer's building committee report, then I'll turn it over to Spencer, and Spencer will let James speak first. Okay?
I
And you'll have-
My point is that if you allow discussion instead of just having them speak, everyone sit down and then be quiet, I think it will be more satisfying. That was all.
There still would have been discussion, but now we'll just do it all together. Still would have been discussion allowed, because now we'll do it all together. Okay, is that everybody good with that? Jim, you're good with that? If we don't, Spencer will introduce you then when his committee comes out. Okay, now, was there a motion to approve the agenda?
Yeah, there was.
Oh,
Excuse me,
Excuse me.
is there, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Oh, wait, I,
But
can
then now
we
we're
move,
changing.
reports up? so
Yeah.
that-
Do we have to have that in the thing?
We did not say that.
Okay, so what we're going to
So
do,
teachers can
I'll
get
just
to
say
their
we're gonna do this. We're gonna move the superintendent and elementary principals reports up right away, so
After
that their
consent.
students are allowed to go home, okay? So, everybody okay with that? So what's gonna happen here is after, now we're gonna skip Jim. So, once we approve his agenda, then we're gonna do superintendent's report, elementary report, high school report, activity report. And then back to the agenda. Everybody good?
We, I would request we do it, before discussion and just do the other stuff, because we told the teachers that we come at 7:30. So I'm not asking that it goes all the way to the front, I'm just asking that it goes after consent. Is that correct?
Okay?
Yeah, that was the request made of me.
Okay, you all good now? Okay,
Thank you.
all those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, okay, so now we'll go to student outcome progress, Dr. Harvey. Dr. Luken, excuse me. I'm looking at you, I'm joking. Got me all worked up here.
Okay. I sent out the goals, I believe on the 28th of October, or November 1st actually was the day that I sent it out, Friday. We can talk through the process of how we got there, math, choice ready, reading. We worked off data we had, experience of other schools, what other schools are seeing as far as progress now that they're into it. They are always editable. We can edit as we see our progress as we get into it. They're 5-year goals. So if you have questions for me on how we got there, obviously we identified math, reading, and choice ready as a group back in November last year. The percentages are based off test scores of the NDSA.
So if we were on track to reach the goals by, say, year 3, we can always just amend those to further the goal.
Yes. 4% is an aggressive goal, though. Like looking at the 20% gain over 5 years. That's aggressive, but you can also, I'd rather be aggressive than start low, I guess.
I think it's achievable.
And it was data-based. We looked at, you're always gonna see a higher growth in your lower grades, just because of the brain chemistry. We had a really high growth goal at the lower grades based on the data and the teams down there. You can't expect the same growth at 10th grade that you expect in 4th grade or 3rd grade. So that's why the growth goal sits at 4%, because of we think that the numbers, if numbers hold at the lower end, then the higher end will probably hold as well.
So, my first question is, number 2 and number 3 are both measured by the North Dakota State Assessment, is that correct?
Yes.
Dr. Harvey, I was gonna go back and look, but the stuff you talked about in your report, was that on the state assessment or on STARS?
That is the measurement tool that we use, as when we spoke,
about the Be Legendary goal setting whole idea that we, since we're using progress monitoring already, that we didn't wanna change the tool that we're using, and that's STARS. And so to keep moving forward with that and having that data to work with, that's why we stuck with the STARS.
So I'm honestly not sure how these, I mean, this doesn't really make sense to me. Why are we
Yeah.
measuring it by the state assessment?
Because that's the score you're rated on. And so our progress measures on how we reach those assessments is gonna be monitored by STARS through the year, but then you take the state assessment and that is your final grade. So that's the score you're rated on, your scorecard, your insights, your anything, based on state assessment. It's not based on STARS.
But our base is not at 58 per the state assessment, is it?
Yeah, per ND Insights, I took those directly off ND Insights. Directly off the website, our report card, scorecard.
So all those grades are at 58%.
I believe it was 48 and 58. If they're, so 48 and 58 was the number, I believe. That's, when I did those goals, I took the number, developed the writing, and I took it directly off our scorecard. So it's based on a 4% growth rate per year over 5 years. Whatever our base number is what we're on ND Insights right now. The scorecard, the report card that you would get, like say you move the area, you look on ND Insights, what's the Harvey Public School doing as far as efficiency, that's what's going to come up.
I guess I'm a little frustrated because this is the first time the board has talked about these goals, except in October. And from what I remember, this isn't really what we talked about in October, it's some kind of. But, one of the evaluation tools or whatever in here is that the board owns it because the board worked in collaboration with the superintendent and the staff to make the goals, and I don't feel like that happened. That's my 2 cents. This,
If you want.
Board members, what if I shared a little bit about process? I'm happy to share that if that's helpful. If not, I'm happy to find. So, just let me know.
Well, I think the process was, you kind of gave a direction on math, science, and choice ready. I think we talked about our choice ready points in March at a special meeting. We needed to get time for the principals to work through what their percentages were and what their goals were. It took a while to get they have a lot on their plate, so it took a long time to get the principals involved on it. They brought forward their percentages and their goal targets based on their progress measures. I extrapolated from the staff the percentage growth that they were looking at in their progress measures, and then I made sure that they were written correctly within the SMART targets that we worked on when we did the training. And then I sent it to you as soon as they were formally written, per our goal of having it done by the end of, I did give it to you November 1st, but we wanted it done by the end of October. So that was the process. We had a refresher on goal setting and writing goals in August with the principals. And we worked through that so that it can inform our building and our data and what we're doing here.
so the progress measures aren't included in here and aren't supposed to be, I'm not sure, I'm not real clear on that, because it looks different based on what you look at.
Well, we'll be reporting on the progress measures that the teachers and staff picked, and that's what we'll be reporting on. That's what they
But
picked.
the goal is measured by the state assessment and nothing else.
Yeah, because that's the report card, that's what it is. But we'll be trying to gauge where we're gonna be based on the progress measures.
I didn't have any input on the state assessment scores. I turned my gold and it stars, so.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he wanted state assessment scores or that I was supposed to. That was not clear to me. We were to choose a target, and so mine was, speaking at the leadership committee at the elementary school, was the star scores. I think maybe that's because I spoke to that in my report, so maybe that's some of the confusion, because I spoke to how we came to the star goals. I haven't seen that. I didn't know that it was, made into state assessment goals.
Well, that's the concern that I'm trying to point out, is I'm not sure that they're relatable.
Yeah, well, as far as, we got 3 years of data from the elementary school. They told me that their goal was to get to a certain percentage. I listened to their goals, and there's a certain percentage of which they wanted to achieve. I did the math on their percentages based on the 3-year averages that they turned in. We turned in 3 years of data. It was very low.
But we didn't have percentages. We worked on scaled scores and grade equivalency.
Yes, you wanted to get to a 6.0,
Mm-hmm.
and so based on
5
your
years.
3-year average of your classes, you had to go up a certain percentage to get to 6.0 by the end of your 5-year average. So we extrapolated the math back into that based on the goals you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
That was all, it was all just based on the percentage goals that were given to me by the teams.
Translated from STARS assessment to the North Dakota State assessment.
Yes.
Which there isn't any of the data from STARS, which we have a brand new state assessment, so. I don't know.
And I think the challenge, I think
Would it help, y'all, if I chimed in a little bit about the process of how all these pieces fit together? Would that be helpful to y'all?
I think right now, Sue, we just need to talk through the process, because we have a new state assessment, and so, and I appreciate if you want to come in, but we have a new state assessment. So then the new state assessment is interceding here with our timing of getting into this. So there might be changes that we have to make in our goals going forward, but it's on the fact that we have a new state assessment. And so.
Yes, but I'm also hearing questions about STAR, about board involvement in, the inquiry about, in objective 1, about the board creating the goals in collaboration with the superintendent, how STAR fits into this, why you're using the NDSA. And then also to your point of the state change the assessment. So when your board had their 2-day workshop, you guys drafted
some degree, I guess. I thought that what we worked on in October was just very preliminary, so I didn't know that was like a done deal, but.
I think we said in September that I would have the goals to you by the end of October, and I think we said that we wanted it there by the first October board meeting.
I mean October a year ago.
Oh,
is what I'm
So-
talking about.
yeah, so then, when we just pushed it back 15 days, and I got it, that's right, so we could move forward.
Okay, so you need a motion on this, or we're just gonna,
If you'd like to pass them, you can pass them tonight, just need a motion to pass them. If you'd like to further consider them, you're welcome to do that, but, if you're agreeable with these goals, just need a motion, a second, or vote.
we're gonna do this?
I know it was preliminary, I do remember at that October meeting a year ago, I did math, arithmetic, and the choice writing down is something that we decided were the three areas we wanted to go, and we didn't get to something concrete as far as the data went, but like, I guess, in my opinion, it's like, I'm not a professional educator, that's what I would rely on, like, this for, and, the people that do it every day, and I guess, like, if there's, if we wanna discuss it more, I'm fine with that too, I'm not, I guess somebody who's not a professional educator, I'm not necessarily sure what amendments I would make to it, like, if we're not being aggressive enough, we're being too aggressive, we wanna switch out math for something else, I don't know. But, I mean, if we wanna continue to discuss it, I have no issue with that either, and have more, have like a board deep dive on it, I don't know, but,
One was under the understanding that we had to use North Dakota State assessment as the measure. If that's the case, then whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's a good measure personally, but if that's what we have to use, then.
Yeah, I did talk through a transition and talk through that, and it's kind of, that's what we have to use as a measure.
here again, ask what are the board wishes?
And I do like that, I like that we are gonna be using the start of, like she said, we like an input to whatever or something, because, and then eventually we will be taking it in the spring, I think it's taking up for investment, right? Thinking about that type of thing.
no, the spring is at the new one. We've never taken that before. So is the reasoning behind that is like, is the North Dakota State Assessment the only one that's like universally done? Like, as far as we compare to other school districts, or like?
Right.
I know, that's a good question. Why do we have to use?
Because not all schools use like stars, right?
Most
Yeah.
use NDA plus just because it's standardized across all things. It's your report card though, like when you see ND Insights, it's not on your STARS data, it's not on your NWA data, it is on your NDSA.
But
That is your report card.
I thought our goal was to increase student performance, not our goal was to increase our scores. I thought our goal was to use the best evaluation tool that we could to evaluate if we're increasing student performance.
Well, I think,
We'll be taking into account the stars and whatever else you guys do.
Just to see if we're on target. It's measured by this.
But I would think that this would be better, so it's better.
The only thing that I wanna say on this is the discussion has been across the board, across the state with the different tests. The STARS doesn't necessarily predict how you're going on the state assessment. The state assessment is built to show that we are meeting the standards set by the state of North Dakota. So if we're teaching to our standards, which are set by our state, our best goals would come from the North Dakota State Assessment. The STARS and progress monitoring doesn't necessarily tie into that, and Teresa has mentioned it in her reports, I mentioned it in conversations with some of our principal stuff. We can have someone that's testing at a 5.2 grade level on STARS, but they're barely proficient on the state assessment. So the state is giving us a tool to help us prepare for what they're expecting us to teach. So that's why those state assessment goals are there.
And they keep talking about stars being able to be a predictor, but we're not seeing that line up. Just FYI, we were at the, in rugby today for the principal PLC, and, an elementary principal that has used the ND Plus now says it seems to align more with their STAR scores.
And they will have the prerogative to change that if they wanna change their input. That's their, how they chose stars for this, they're with stars now. Like, they have the prerogative to change their input at any time, it's just where they are now. So,
Yeah, I would entertain a motion here. I should have asked for a long time ago, but because you're not supposed to discuss without a motion, so.
I'll make a motion to accept these, student outcome goals.
Okay, a second? Okay, probably moving second, that we accept the student outcome goals. Now let's go back and finish our discussion properly.
Well, I think to wrap it all up too, I mean, we just said about how these are all certainly amendable, so I think that if we need to pivot as we figure out new things, if the new state assessment throws a horseshoe in there or something, you know, we can always amend what our goals are and pivot from there. So it sounds like it's pretty flexible, nothing that we have to set in stone forever.
Okay,
and you'll get reports on how you're doing and if you need to amend them too.
okay, any more discussion? Any more discussion?
I would like, I want to interject clarification on that, because I don't want there to be misinformation about how this process works. You're voting on 5-year goals. The reason for a district's goal to change is not because you want to lower your standards for your students. You want fewer students to be able to read, or fewer students to be able to do math, or fewer students to be able to be choice ready. That really doesn't change. The only reason to change these goals is because you would want to set a higher target because you achieved them, or, well, really because or you reached your 5 years. What's going to come next in this process is your superintendent having annual targets between now and the 5 years, where, and especially with this change to your state assessment, you might calibrate now that maybe year 1, your target is the same as where you're at right now, because you don't know if you're going to be, how this new test is going to measure up to what your old state test was. If you want a little more runway of a few years to calibrate for that. But just like when you're going on a vacation and this is where you want to go, just because you can't get to Disney World doesn't mean you're settling on Raven Lake if your objective is Disney World. And so I just want to make sure I lift that up for you. There is some flexibility in your goals, but they're really only specific times when you are changing your goals, and it's because you don't know your goal, you've achieved your goal, or you've already exceeded your target and want to advance your target.
So, yeah, so I guess if the state assessment indicates something different, we can.
Yeah, and in no way was I trying to assert that I would want to lower our standards for academic achievement. I don't think anybody on this board would want to do that, so that's. I would
We
just-
understand where you're going.
Okay.
I agree with you. That we can always.
Okay, all right, any more discussion? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor of that? Of accepting these outcome goals, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, anything else?
There was a board self-evaluation on there. Sue,
Yep, y'all ready for that?
we got it in front of us.
So everybody has a copy of the manual, right? All right, so you guys just voted on your goals. The reason I did not have you do your, send me the responses in advance of this time is because your responses last night would have been different than they would have been today. Your responses 30 minutes ago would have been different than what they are in this moment.
Sue, this is Colette, so I'm not sure after passing that, would be the after 4 or the 12th?
So the important questions under proficient is that you all agree, including the superintendent, that the student outcome goals will, one, challenge the organization, require adult behavior change, are influenceable by the superintendent, and will be superintendent's first priority for resource allocation, and also that the board relied on a comprehensive needs assessment and or student outcome data to identify the priorities. Now on that last one, I know it's been a while, but my understanding is, even though I wasn't in your training because I was sick, you know, I've conducted these. So you guys relied on student outcome data to set your priorities in that meeting. It was a long time ago, so maybe, you know, only you know because I wasn't there, but in all likelihood you did do it. If you don't agree that these things are true, I would actually recommend you have your superintendent bring back your target approval.
I think we're proficient. He's gonna challenge us. They're aggressive.
Okay, we good there? Okay.
You guys are agreeing that you're proficient?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Let's go to Sue.
And just to let you know, advance will require you guys to start community engagement. And unless you want to embark on that during the holidays, which is usually a really tricky time, that might be something that you may set as a target for appointment.
Yeah, or probably for January on or something.
Sue, I was already planning to bring this to since we passed them, I was actually gonna talk to them at the local CDMA meeting, as well as bring them to the other community organizations that I'm a part of, just to make sure people are aware of the goals we have. That would be happening in December.
Yeah, I mean, superintendent, always great to be working with the community to focus on the goals. But it is important because the board is elected to represent the vision and values of the community. So it is recommended, and this is what the criteria are for advance. Really, the board needs to be leading community engagement. And what I usually recommend and do with other districts is that an ad hoc committee of a couple of board members volunteer to create a community engagement plan. We have a couple of meetings to flesh out that plan, board, you know, to make a recommendation to the board of what the plan should be, and then the board participates with the community in that engagement. And then, you know, see, depending upon how that goes, you know, sometimes there's some lessons learned, what worked, what didn't work, and then develop a plan for ongoing community engagement. That might be just an annual thing, but having a plan for it is always a recommended good idea.
Okay, we'll get after it.
All right, we can talk more about that when we visit in our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so objective 2, who wants to share first? What do you think, Joanne?
Hold on. About, as far as proficient, it says on here annual targets is on the partially proficient. I don't believe that is something we have yet.
Annual targets?
Yeah.
4%.
Yeah, it's 4% based on the data we have.
So you're doing 4% over 5 years, correct?
Yeah, 4% a year, 5 years.
Setting your annual target means, you know, what is your target for 25, 26, 27, for those interceding years? What is your target going to be for each year? And so what I don't know as the coach is if you're planning on doing it 1% per year, or if you want to not have any percent the first year, so that you kind of have time to adjust this phase assessment. So I think either, you know, telling your board what the annual targets will be tonight, or
I would say that the staff worked and put together data off 3-year data charges. They worked on their annual targets. They said where they wanted it to be. We averaged out. We did the homework. So the annual targets are based off what the staff felt was possible. Now, if we fall short on our annual target, but we meet our overall goal, over time, that will be what we will try to do. But
And that is you're absolutely right on that, Superintendent. But you still have to have, when we start doing your progress monitoring boards with you and your board, you're gonna have to have a data point on that chart of what that annual target is supposed to be, so that you can measure it, and it should be approved by you. And absolutely, there are years where a district is going to exceed their annual target, and there might be years that a district won't meet their annual target. That's why they're 5-year goals instead of 1-year goals, because things can fluctuate. What matters is you achieve that 5-year goal. You're absolutely right on that. But what is important here for this, and the board member who brought up the annual targets is raising an appropriate question, that you don't have those until the board votes on those. And so you can either, decide what those are gonna be right now, or you can bring those annual targets back to your board at your next board meeting. But they should be explicit of, if we're at 50% right now, and we wanna be at 54% in 5 years, in year 1, where do we wanna be, year 2, where do we wanna be, and so forth.
I've emailed those out to the principals. I can't bring it to them right now, but we do have them. I just don't have them here for passage right now. So if we just want to move, if I did not understand that you wanted the annual targets voted on by the board. We do have them, and I did do them. That's how I got the goals in the first place. So I'd like to move on to objective 2, and I will get them that to be taken care of.
And this is okay. So what I'm hearing is then the board would be a novice with a target of proficient the next time you guys do your evaluation.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're making progress. That's the important part.
Okay. So yeah, we have those. Those will be at the next meeting. We'll get that done.
Okay. All right, so objective.
I would think, this is what I would think that we were at, does not meet, right? Because we just first did goals, so we don't have any progress measures or anything, don't we? Or-
Yeah, they say that they're at does not meet because they sue, and so they feel they're at a 0 because they just passed their goals.
And then if there's no disagreement in that status from other board members, where do you want to set your target for the next quarter? Which would be by the next time you do this in January.
Will we just do one step at a time?
Once they want to try to get to novice for sure by the next quarter.
So here's the thing, if you get to novice, you really could get to proficient on these. Because what you want is for a superintendent to bring you progress measures that meet all of these criteria. Because if it only meets some of these criteria, then the superintendent has to go back and do more steps again. And then you're having to reapprove your progress measures. And so I'm confident, that your superintendent, and his staff, if they're having the progress measures ready for you to vote on, I would actually recommend by December, so you guys can start your progress monitoring of your goals at the very beginning of the year. It sounds like, it's been a year since you've been training, you've been wanting to move forward on this, you're really, really close to it, and I'd like to encourage you, and that you are very close to it, and I do think that you could make this progress. And then you put a 12 by the end of this quarter.
Okay, well then we can put that as a goal for
We'll set it at 12. 12 sounds good. 12 sounds good.
Objective 3.
Also there, where that does not meet. My
The
opinion.
number one thing that you guys need to do in order to make progress on this section is have a workshop to draft those guardrails.
We are gonna schedule that this month now that corn harvest is over. So that's on the docket. We've discussed. Is corn harvest over? Yep. No. Sue and I have discussed that I was gonna work to get this on the schedule with corn harvest over. I was advocating for farm time to be done before we had like a workshop. So she and I.
Until there's a foot of snow on the ground, farm time is not done.
Yeah, there's gonna be snow here pretty soon,
Well, we
so.
did sign up to do this. I mean, anything, so we're all busy, I get that, but we have to try and take this seriously and start working on it, or we're gonna be another year from now, we won't have done anything.
So, I'll work, yeah, so we plan to at least be at novice, because we will have a workshop. Now, whether we finish the guardrails in that workshop, I can't tell you, but we will be at least at novice by the next meeting, by the end of the quarter.
So what we will do in that workshop is draft the guardrails, the board will draft the language of the guardrails. And the guardrails are not written like goals, they're not in that chart format with baseline target and all of that. And then the superintendent, this is where the collaboration part comes in on these items. The superintendent then will draft guardrail progress measures. I never recommend that a board approve their guardrails before they see the draft of the guardrail progress measures from the superintendent. And the reason is because if the language of the guardrail doesn't get to the value that you have in your the language of the guardrail progress measures don't get to the language, the value behind the language of your guardrail. The board then has to create more specificity of the guardrail language. So this is one of the things that could take a second meeting, but I try and guide a board through the process in that workshop, so there's as much clarity as possible for the superintendent, so when it is more condensed process instead of a long drawn out process. And then both things should be brought to the board in one meeting for a vote. So you probably can get to novice or possibly even partially proficient. It all depends on when you have your workshop, because you've got all the holidays in there, and your board meeting is what, second week in January?
Third week. I think novice is probably the best goal here, Sue. Just because of all the things that we have going on.
The reason I'm saying partially proficient is because novice requires you to have guardrail progress measures. Partially proficient specifies the criteria of what's in those guardrail progress measures. And so if you're bringing forward to your board the appropriate guardrail progress measures to be novice, you should automatically be able to be partially proficient. That's all. If you guys want, it is totally okay to set your target for novice and exceed your target. There's no rule that you can't be high achievers.
And I just think the busyness of our board members, it's gonna be difficult to get all of them and get everything together. I just think setting novice is the best goal right now. And if I'm able to work with them and get everything done in place so that they can be partially proficient, I think that would be a great thing.
Okay, sounds like a plan. All right, objective 4.
Does not meet,
We're at a 0 on that one.
I mean, we can't be, right?
And where do you aspire to be the end of the next quarter?
They want to go to novice. They want to at least get to novice by the next quarter.
What that is going to look like is you'll
goal to be a novice, we may not meet it. But we want to be able to focus on our data and start working towards our percentage.
Yeah.
And y'all may not be aware, you are time tracking. And, what I would recommend is those time trackers start getting put on your agendas, and that way you guys know what data is there. But you're actually a little further along on that objective than it might be apparent.
Yeah, we are time tracking, but I think by the end, I think that's we can go there in novice, but trying to get farther than novice by the end of the quarter would be difficult. So I think sitting here now, I think they set a good goal. I think 2 is a novice is a good goal.
All right, objective 5.
I feel the same thing, does not mean.
We're at 0.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the monitoring one, sorry.
Yeah, so objective 5, that's the monitoring report. We have the data in place with our elementary. They're doing it every 6 weeks. We're working with the NDA Plus, and we have monitoring pieces in our high school. So it would simply be reporting on the data we already have. So all those are already in place.
So this is a specific kind of monitoring report. It is specifically on your board adopted goals and your goal progress measures that are in development. There's nothing wrong with you talking about other data and sharing that with your board, but this is specific to being aligned with your goals and your goal progress.
The goal progress measures are going to be around the inputs from the teams of teachers. And so we will be using the inputs from the teachers' input, from the teachers' teams that came forward. So since we have all of those structures already in place on number five, we can move forward with a novice goal here, because I think, and if we fall short, but I think we have all the pieces in place here.
Y'all want to set a target of novice?
Yeah, I think that's hanging on for now.
Right. And objective 6.
I would assume that one, we're also at 0 right now. I mean, because we have to get the other steps before we can get to this one.
Yeah. So we plan to start listening for and discussing student outcomes in board meetings. That's the novice. We want to try to pass the guardrails by the end meeting.
Start with the does not meet column and make sure the answer to none of those is yes.
I think the same for the other, the most we can begin to hope for is novice, because we've got, a lot of things to get done before.
Yeah. So I think novice is a good goal.
So here's what's going to be required. We're in November, we're almost the middle of November. The next time you do this board self-evaluation, your session in board, you're going to correct that in your January board meeting. In between that, you are doing a guardrail workshop to draft your guardrails, and your superintendent's going to be doing goal progress measures, guardrail progress measures, monitoring calendar, and a first monitoring report between now and your January board meeting. In order to achieve novice, and you've got Thanksgiving and you've got Christmas. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, and I'm not trying to discourage you from moving aggressively forward in the work that you want to do in this way for your students. But the first thing under novice is the board has a two-way communication system in place for board members at least once per year to do those things.
Yeah, so we might not even get to novice by then.
But I think I really like the challenge, Sue. I think setting a quarter goal of a challenge to get to novice and finding a path forward and mapping that out after this meeting is a good goal. So I think setting it at novice, and then if we don't achieve it, we don't achieve it, but I really hope that we can set it at novice and go for it, and if we have to push it back a quarter, we can, but I just wanna say, let's just go for novice.
So here's what I will need tonight to know, or within the next couple of days, is who would want to serve on a community engagement ad hoc committee, so that I can work with that committee to develop a proposal for that system to bring to the board for a vote.
I'll work on that and get you, see if we can get that together in the next couple days.
Okay? All right. So just to recap,
Community
objective one, you are at novice. Your target is proficient. Objective two, it does not meet target is proficient. Objective three, you are at does not meet and your target is novice. Objective four, you're at does not meet and your target is novice. Objective five, you're at does not meet, target is novice, and objective. So the board should vote to approve your quarterly self-evaluation.
Motion
We have a
is,
motion, second?
Second.
Okay, probably moving second that we approve our quarterly evaluation. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so now we'll go on to the agenda. Okay, so I would, entertain a motion to consent, for the consent agenda. No, we're gonna do the consent agenda first.
oh,
Okay, consent agenda, a motion? Okay, second? Okay, so the consent agenda will include, any discussion?
I don't think the approval of the bus thing should be on the consent agenda.
we already approved the agenda.
We can discuss it right now.
That came from her, but, okay, so,
It's just the ads of paper, that's all it is, because the sealed bids are gonna come back to you.
we already decided we're gonna sell it, so. Okay, all right, any other discussion? All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we need to add this, special agenda meeting of October 16th, which wasn't put on the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the special agenda, minutes from October 16th?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Discussion?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
It says that the board was presented with a loan bid, there was not a loan bid, there were two.
Bids, so you want, small bids.
No, we should say who the two bids were.
It should
With
say
the
two
bids.
were,
So we could make that two bids, how about that?
well, I think drive should be in there.
Yeah.
Is it following anything?
Which one?
On the special meeting of October 16th,
Call for bids.
on the call for bids, bus overall, there was two, we discussed